Hey everybody, Bill in Virginia here, or maybe I could call myself the everyday modeler. I used that in the last video. I had a comment on that it sounded kind of good, so you know what, I might start using it. Anyway, what I'm doing, and it is Sunday afternoon, and it is steaming hot in Richmond, Virginia, about 100 degrees out, so I'm staying in the garage. I'm working on doing some more detailing work on the layout. What I've got going on here is I'm getting ready to pour concrete for my two factories. What I prefer to do, since again I use the pink foam board for both the N scale and the HO scale, is I like to cut into it so I get a fairly thick pour, in this case about a ½ an inch on average. The reason I do that is since this layout and the other one is portable, it gets a little bit of bend, it gets a little bit of flex, and I don't want to have too much that's just sitting on top, in particular plaster, that could twist a little bit, crack, peel off on the ends, or literally just pop off. By doing this, it's got rough on the bottom, it's going to grab, the pour is not going to go anywhere. There's other products that are out there that I could use, like the Woodland Scenics road system. That would probably work, but this one's tried and true for me, and it's something that I get good results on. I did the exact same thing over here at the repair shops on the HO scale. You can see the pad comes up not quite a quarter of an inch, between an eighth and a quarter. But it goes down a good ½ inch. So it's a solid pad, it's not going anywhere. I'll do the same thing over on this side. So when I get a little bit farther and I get it poured, I'll show you how it looks. Also over on this area is I got the additional bumper posts put in over here to keep my vehicles from going into the gully that's off on the side of the engine house. So making some headway. All right, about 15 minutes later, got the pads poured, and what I will do is just let them sit. I made it fairly thin, so it's going to take a while before this sets up. But what I will be able to do tonight, before closing down shop, is come back in and scrape it a little bit, just to kind of get the bubbles off the surface and the irregularities and make it a little bit more smooth. As I look at the light reflecting on it, you can see some inconsistencies. I pour it so that it's domed just enough that I can scrape it, make it reasonably flat. Again, it's concrete, it's an old parking lot, it's not going to be perfect, and I'm going to make it look like that. So now I just kind of sit and wait, and I will go on to do other things. And now about 20 minutes has elapsed, and the sheen is gone. So a lot of that excess water has evaporated. It is firm. I will still give it a couple of hours, and then I will do a scrape, and then I can actually set the buildings back in position. I won't do anything with the concrete until probably a couple of days, because it'll have a long time before it dries. That pink foam board doesn't let any moisture go out any other direction other than up. So if it's like some of the others that I've poured, this can be damp to the touch literally for weeks yet before it cures 100%. But before that time, I can still do some coloring on it. I can blend it in, make it look like aged concrete. There's a lot I can do to it even while it's drying, and it's not going to hurt it anything. I will also put in some scribe lines after I do a scrape to make it look like poured concrete sections. So a bit more yet on this one. All right, some lines have been etched. I am not going to wipe off the little scrapings until it sets. If I go in right now and I try to wipe them off, you know what, I'm going to wipe out my lines, because it's still damp enough that if you rub on it, it gets a little liquidy. So that's going to be on there until it dries. But I'm going to put the buildings back in place now, and then I can actually start doing some of the other scenery around the buildings. And then after this dries for a few days, I can come back in, wipe it down with my fingers, I can then chalk it. I will also chalk up the blacktop and get rid of some of the plaster white that I put on it, and we'll go from there. All right, into Sunday evening. So I've just got everything kind of put back in. Concrete little pads have to dry quite a bit, but see how these buildings are gonna look. Well, for this piece, just showing off a new RS3 that I got today from Bachmann. A very nice locomotive. I've been running it a little bit in the yard and it works great. The one thing though, I'm going to offer a cautionary tale to everybody out there that's just getting into DCC, and that is really read and kind of follow the instructions and put in a programming track. I have not yet, but I will. So when I got this in, I was thinking, okay, I've got to program it. I know all the other engines have to be off the track. And then I was like, well, all the other engines have to be off the track. Which means I had to move the little 440 and everything that's down in the engine terminal. So I spent this evening, which is Monday night, just doing a quick little project, and I put in an adapter so that I can do programming. So I've got a simple little selector switch, toggle it to the left, and I'm on track with my DCC, middle off, right programming. Now, I could flip the wires any way around, and for what I did for right now was just simply did a couple of little alligator clamps, and this piece of track you've been seeing pop in and out of the video. This is my programming track. I'll set it up here, and I did that with the RS3, and it's good enough for right now. What I will do, and you can hold me to it, is down in that industrial area, probably the farthest section of track, I'll leave a little 6-inch one that'll be isolated, and I'll wire that up to the selector I just showed you, and that's going to be my programming track. Just so that I've got it, it's on the layout, and it's not a real pain if I get new engines. So anyway, just a word of advice. Don't follow my example and do it right the first time. All right, the last two segments for this week's video. I'll show you what I'm going to do here in a minute, but I'll show you a little scene I've been working on. So we've got over here the road, but I've been doing a little bit of work right in here where my factory, one of them is going to be. So I've got a little gravel parking lot put in. More stuff around the bumper for the train, and then a little wooded area that's got just odds and ends of debris, and then a little hoist for the factory. So I got that put in. Next thing that I'm going to work on, and that'll be the last piece, is I'm over here for the engine service facility. Obviously, with how I've got the layout, everything is kind of long, not condensed. So I'm putting in along the service track the sanding tower, another water and fuel point. I've got some above ground storage tanks. I've got another little building kit. Again, this is another paper kit. I really like these things in N scale for the smaller buildings. Again, it fools the eye and they look pretty good. So next piece is I will get this done. A few other things that I've been doing just over in here is I've added some more vehicles to the parking lot. You saw earlier in the video how I put in some of the concrete pad. I've got that pretty well done, and that is all set. I've used chalks to color it. Same thing on this side. Don't want to move too fast, make anybody sick. So I've got that in place. So it is coming along. Let me get this next part done, and that'll be it for the week. Well, I think I've got my general layout for how I want things to set. I've got sanding tower, oil, water put in place, some tanks. Next thing to do is ground cover and get this scene mostly wrapped up. except at the switch, which I will do a little bit later. All right, almost the last segment for this video. You can kind of see this factory scene from a different angle. Still got a lot of painting, detailing to do, but I use the needle method to make more posts. Over here, painted them rust color, make them look like they've been there for a while. Added quite a bit of junk in and around that little thicket in between the road and the tracks. There's another one of the little paper buildings that I just got today. So I made a couple more of those, a couple of small ones. You can kind of see how the concrete parking lot looks up against the blacktop road. And over there, another little segment of it before I get over to the engine terminal. And it's been about an hour since I started the project over on this side. So I've got everything pretty well positioned. Basic scenery is done. And I've still got to do ballast on the other side of the track with that gray, but I'm waiting for that gray to arrive via the U.S. Postal Service. It was supposed to have gotten here today, but it didn't, so I will ballast that a little bit later, and then I'll finish off the scenery there because I'll have to redo a little bit of it, but this is how it looks. And there's another little paper building. Got it sitting up on top of a little gravel area to kind of keep it from being flooded when the rains come. But this is it for a Saturday. Tomorrow, of course, I'm going to do more, but that'll be the start of the next video. So everybody have a great week and take care.